get into this morning live, a few things that we note once again, like we've experienced for many, many weekends here in a row, especially on Saturday leading into Sunday. We've had what looks like a coherent effort about, dumping the price on the weekends when the ETFs are closed. And this is not out of the ordinary. Like, this is once again, I know XRP is performing a little better than some, but you've got, like, what is this? VThor right now is down about 5%. You've got ZIL, VChain down about 2.5% respectively. You've got XDC holding on pretty strong. DGB about 1.25%. XRP's up about 1%, but fading a little bit here this morning. Bitcoin's right about neutral. Ethereum's down over 1%. What do we have? IOTA down about 3.5%. One to watch for a short-term possibility here for a nice, momentous carry trade, I guess you could call it here. I'll go down 2.5%. So the only one that really amps down about 2% after it was trying to close last night. Now I feel like on these weekends, we got to be, a little interesting. But it did come down a little bit farther and it's trying to reverse itself. It was down to about 5,667. But we do have these short-term crosses here on this weekend. And the money spot for AMP would probably be around 5,578 if it were to come down and hold this consolidation. And it's been a long-standing one. So we're getting to the end of this formation. So you want to buy it as close, assuming it holds, because there's no guarantee, but you want to buy them as close to these support structures as possible. But again, most of it's red. MXC's up 0.75%. And I did a very suave move yesterday. I'm very proud of myself. And I went back and forth with it with Julie. I kept talking about it. Yesterday, ZBCN, I didn't get rid of all of it, so don't think I did. But it was up here at 1.3 or 1. What was this? It wasn't even here. This is not, I'm talking yesterday. It was up here. It came to the top up here and it was at 134. And I still have 2.22 million ZBCN. But I sold out 778,000 tokens. It was worth about just about $1,000 when I sold it. I think it was a tiny bit more than $1,000 worth, but I flipped that all into MXC. So I'm proud of myself for doing that because MXC yesterday and today ended up being down and I waited. And then I said, I'm just going to flip it into MXC because I had that and it looked like this inverse right shoulder. Yesterday it was right about here. And now it went around. I didn't even know it did this. But it was forming right here, and I'm like, this could be an inverse head and shoulders. It needs to come down a little farther, so I might have been a little overzealous. Well, it doesn't need to, but just in understanding this, it could come down to about there. So I flipped out 778,000 as ZBCN because it's up like at the 134 level. I was up on 3 million tokens, and this is just things I do. There's no rhyme or reason. I just get a feeling and I go with it. Call it discernment, call it what you want. I was up 67%. So I took 1/3, roughly, not quite 1/3. Yeah, it was about 1/3 because I took 770,000 out of 3 million, or 778,000. And I flipped that into MXC when it was down 5.6% yesterday. And today it looks like it's running opposite of the market. It was down. I thought it was an opportunity to kind of flip out of something that was overzealously pushing the market, and this is down at its structural support, so seemed like a play to me, and it looks like it's paying off this morning because now ZBCN is down. Let's see. It's just consolidating, but we'll just say it was a little lower than where I was at. Yeah, so this is down 10.7%, and MXC is up about a 1.5% since I bought those additional shares or tokens. So that's what I was. Oh yeah, buying spot. That's it. I'm not looking to buy anything else. So you can inform us of your moves also, so we can. Oh, this is just me trading. You guys already know about the MXC and the ZBCN from where I bought it. There's nothing hidden there, but I tried a Discord before, and no offense, it was a waste of my time because I put in a lot of work to it, and it got overrun by bad actors, let's just say, and it just turned it into something it shouldn't have been. But yeah, no, I don't disagree with that. It would be nice, but this is just what I do. There's no rhyme or reason. I didn't know I was going to do it, but I just had that tug, and some call it discernment, some call it I don't know. That's like, sometimes I don't even know. Sometimes I feel like we're reborn and then our prior self is giving us hints in the forms of what we're hearing in our own heads or like in our souls. I feel like that's our guidance. So like, if I ignore it, nothing good ever happens. And then if I go against it, nothing good ever happens. So I just have felt like a moment. I didn't want to get rid of a lot of ZBCN because I still think that it's an interesting token. But I think MXC with its 2.44 billion total or circulating supply right now, it's got 2.66 billion in total circulating supply. So there's only 220 million tokens outstanding. But I did come up with a list. I just got to get it from my phone. I have here, I need to copy this address because I have it on CoinMarketCap and I have a list of IoT tokens. And I thought it was fascinating going through. I mean, just fascinating yesterday going through it. I mean, I've gone through it a ton of times, don't get me wrong. But I go through it and I look at what the market cap of IoT tokens are and things like that. Tom, we all feel the urge. Sorry I don't hit the like button unless I like the video. Hey, fair enough. If you don't want to hit the like button, that's no sweat off my back, to be honest with you. And you know, I wouldn't expect you to hit the like button. It's kind of hard, you know, to support something you don't like. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, IoT tokens. I'll just label it like that. And then I was outside shoveling snow before I came in. And no, I didn't say you don't like it, I was saying for that, how you said it, I was saying I can understand it because if you don't like something, you're not gonna hit the like button. Or you might like it, but I gotta hit the right button. I gotta make sure you're in tune. You know, I understand what you're saying. What do you mean don't put words in my mouth? You just said you don't like to hit the like button unless you like. Sorry, I don't hit the like button unless I like the video. That's what I was saying. Anyhow, I was outside shoveling snow before this, so we had like a couple inches so far, and we're supposed to get like 5 to 7 more. But anyhow, let me get into my email before I get in trouble by my audience. But I had pulled this up and put it I had the list set up, but then I saved it. So I had it set up for IoT tokens based on market cap, but I had the top one so that some that are registering and have a market cap that's worth mentioning. Now, going through this, the top one in our IoT right now is up there at number 40 and it's VeChain. IOTA's at number 81. Jasmy's at number 72. And I have added a little bit to Jasmy when it was way down again. But yeah, there's just IoTX is right here at 253. Helium, I believe, is too expensive already. The artificial super intelligence is not in my range and it's not to my liking. Honey, I don't know enough about. IOST, because of its relationship with BitBoy Crypto when he was back then. And then I seen the Chinese creator of it, how they basically said that it was kind of a way to siphon off funds. I didn't like how they said that. MVL, I'm very interested in, know where to buy it. But as we go through here, Moonchain 1181 is the one we're talking about more recently. It's at 00315. But these are the list of IoT tokens, and I thought it was cool to put it all together so we could see it. I don't care. You guys can talk. Good, bad, or indifferent. You guys have your own opinions. You know, that's how the comment section works. So I like when you guys are expressing good or bad. But yeah, this is the list. And as we go through these, and some of them aren't even registering in the top of the market caps, but these are other ones that are I don't necessarily like. So I had the parameters set different. So, and it goes all the way up to the 9,291st ranked by market cap. But these are the IoT list. This is a list, and I base it on market capitalization. So if you're ever wondering the tokens that are actually in the Internet of Things, these are the ones. And the total market cap right now of IoT tokens, what is that? $8,479,315,365. It's up by 2.41%. And the total trading volume is 332,175,000. Would you guys like to see this more as far as the IoT? Because I think so. I think so. Oh, shoot, I forgot about my opening. You're right. Good morning. 11:38 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Saturday, February 15th, 2025. I'm XRP Future Millionaire with the side bet on XM and Future Digibyte OG, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. But I do got to be a little quieter because my son is a little sensitive after all the stuff he's been through the last few days, like noise-wise. But he is doing good. We had a good day yesterday. He's doing good so far today, so we'll see. We're about to do a feeding soon. But yeah, I do like this side. DGB right now is at number 298, so it's moving up steadily. A couple days ago it was at 310, so I'm glad to see it moving up slowly but surely. Please look into Sologenic. I think it's going to be massive. Yeah, I know all about Solo on the XRP ledger. I used to own Solo, so I don't disagree. I just sold out when Solo was way up, and with there was Solo and Corium were way up, and then I decided to take the profits, and then I ended up buying XRP Healthcare because I thought it was at a bargain price when those had already started railing, but then those ended up going ballistic. So yeah, and then yeah, so we'll look more at this list in the future too. I really like this kind of stuff. I think it keeps us in a different light. Let's see. Crypto Fear and Greed Index, since we're on this page before we get into the real charts. At 50. Is it really at 50 still? How could it be at 50? It didn't move at all? I guess it just stayed in neutral because it went 44 to 48 to 50. Must have moved down to 48 again. I didn't even see it. We'll get into all this stuff after. We got to do the charts. But I think it's fascinating, the IoT tokens. I really do. I think there's so many steals if we just know what's going on. That looks like it wants it, gonna buy here. Yeah, I have over 300,000. I think it said V chain. No, I don't know if over 100,000 V chain. Because I have over 300,000 ZIL because the price differential. But I also have VThor. I have 400,000. Actually, no, did I move it to 1 million VThor? I might have done that. I might have bought more VThor. I don't know. It wouldn't have been in the last couple days, but VThor had a hell of a fall off a couple days ago, and it was beautiful. I'm trying to see. I got to remember for myself, too. VThor. 600,000. Okay. Yes. And then the MXC, with the purchases that I bought, it's up to 1.447 million tokens. So definitely on the right track there. And DGB, FYI, is still my single biggest holding. I have 1.3 million DGB, but the amount of money I put into it is actually, I don't know now. Because it was, yeah, probably. It's definitely the most I put into any single investment. And I continuously, I know I bought more because I had 1.222 million. And when it came down on this last drop, not today or yesterday, but as it was having that drop, I bought another 100,000 or so, I want to say. Tom, why do you think liquidate? Oh, I need to see that. I need to see that comment. But we're going to get into these XRP charts because there's a lot to learn. Liquidity isn't going from XRP, VELO, XRPH. I noticed this over the last couple of days. Because we have too much money in Bitcoin. There's too much money in Bitcoins and meme tokens. You got to get past that before we have a wide flip. XRP Healthcare will have its moment, but it's going to come after XRP has its next volatile swing. If you noticed, when XRP had its big move initially, once that move started to take place, money started flowing from XRP and Sologenic and things like that, I believe. You know, on the XRP legend, they started finding the one that hasn't moved. This has a wide pattern. I tried to explain this a long time ago. This is very wide. So it's going to take time. Like this technically can take, I mean, we're talking out until I think 2026 it could take for this consolidation. It's a long one. Because it broke up from such a, because it's a big handle, guys. This is a massive cup and handle, I believe. Some can argue, some might not, some might agree. But this, maybe not until the end of the year. This would take us out in maximum, so the apex is May of this year. So about 3 months, Bob. So when we get around Mother's Day, you know, we should be looking if it stays that long. But I don't know. I think this will break out sooner if it's meant to. It's just we have a long consolidation, and we're in a great spot because this is the handle of it. So this is all I wanted to see. It had an overzealous run up, but in time, we've got huge targets here. And remember, there's only 100 million total tokens on this particular token ever. And it's getting way up there in the percentage that is already out there. But I mean, it's the weekend, guys. We know on the weekend they assault the market. It happens every single weekend. I don't know how much it's going to go down. I don't know how much certain things are going to go down. We know where the uptrends on a lot of these are. But it looks like the daily's not bad. We have this major engulfing candle. I mean, from that standpoint, we look great. You know, this doesn't look bad. It looks like we're still trying to push. XRP is up at that 279, or hit that 279. But I think the best way to look at these is like this. We have these almost like symmetrical triangles that have formed just like on Bitcoin within its broadening wedge. And now it's formed like these. So I think we're a little bit, if you look at this, we don't want to get rejected here because this could be the right shoulder. We do not want, let me emphasize this. You don't want a rejection here because then you would have to come back down. And I don't think anybody wants to see it come down to $1.81 and hope it holds. We want this to be an exhaustion wick. And then this is a symmetrical triangle that will eventually break out, back test, and then push out. That's what we want. And then eventually you come up and tap that broadening wedge resistance. And then you either break through or you hold. But it makes a lot of sense. This pattern is starting to make a lot of sense. I feel like next week, though, we're going to get some kind of announcement, it feels like. Something in favor of crypto looks like it's building up. And I know we could have some consolidation here this weekend. But I mean, I'm looking at a few. Like I have some on AMP, but I'm trying to decide if AMP, if I would just, this is the point we talked yesterday. I did buy it initially, but because I have it on BITUNIX, I usually, after it breaks down a certain barrier, I'll just sell it and wait for it to come to the next area, but it's not a big drop. It's just in case they fall through. That's why I like to trade on BITUNIX, so it's not on the books. So I can buy and sell at will if I have to on a swing. And on AMP, it often makes me do it because it's a pain in the ass. I mean, nothing's really changed here. There's not a lot of sell volume. Like, there's no reason. I don't know. We're not getting a lot of sell volume. It's this thinly traded weekend. The ETFs are closed. And for whatever reason, on Saturday into Sunday, it seems like it's the worst of the worst. Now, last week, we tried to hold at the end of the weekend, and then we had a nice little surge with XRP. But that was breaking out of the descending wedge. Now we've got our next thing we've got to do. We got to break past this resistance. Like, we just got to break past this resistance. And if we could, it'd be fantastic. I'm going to go make sure the feeding's going good. I'll be right back. But that's what we need to break past right there. And in real time, I guess you could say it might come lower, but that's in the daily. But that's what we've evolved into. And that's what I was showing yesterday in the live. Like, just make sure if you're watching my charts that you add that, because that could, in fact, be a right shoulder. You know, it needs to break back. Hey, Kryptonian, welcome back, my friend. Love it. Love it. I appreciate you being here. Because of you, I own Axelar, and I got to buy it at some pretty damn good prices. When it made the drop, I had it at 32 cents or 33. And an average under 40 cents because you brought it up at a perfect freaking time. Just like Shane brought up ZBAC at a perfect freaking time. And I was able to, Kryptonian, I know you'll be happy. I got like 12,578, I think the exact number is, of Axelar now. I think it said it was a 37-cent average. So not quite the bottom. Because at first I bought it at 42, then I bought it again around 33. So it just worked out so perfectly. I'll be right back. Trying to make sure our buggers was good. Okay, sorry about that. I just wanted to make sure he was good. He just finished his feeding. So everything's been going good so far. I fucked the bag up with ZBEC, but it's consolidating. What is a good buy? Ooh, good question. I like when people ask questions when things are consolidating. Speaking of that, we're gonna go to ZBEC, but I want to see one thing. Because I have been trying to stay on ball with this, and I redid this yesterday so that I could be more in line with what XCN with the consolidations that have happened. I wanted to be on the ball for everybody who's still a part of this. Right now, as long as it can hold this consolidation here and it stays above, I would say 195, we should have a return rally back up to 2.6. Now, the problem is if this does break down, but it seems like a lot of these are within these kind of formations. It is on the bottom side of the uptrend, which means because it took longer to break out like the rest of the market did, it kind of waited. As some of you know, it did its 10x or 8x or whatever after the market. But now it's flipping back around, and some of them fell out and then came back down to the ultimate support. But right now, this is holding on pretty nicely. It's just if it fell below this, then you kind of got to hold on. Because then you would start forming some kind of right shoulder. That's the problem here. It came up so fast that it had no choice. That's why when it came up to the top, I said, just hang on if you haven't bought yet, because when they come up so fast, they have no choice but to fill gaps. And now we're looking at, that's a pretty healthy drop right there right now. 57% from the top. We're just looking to try to carry something here. So you're looking to see if it can hold the support down, even if it comes around the, what is that, 2-cent area. So just pay attention to that. So I wanted to talk about that yesterday. I completely forgot. Unless I did bring it up for a second. I can't remember. And then ZBC on it's having a fantastic consolidation. Now I'm wondering if I should have took out the whole million and put it in, but I'm not gonna be mad either way. It hasn't come up to the top of resistance. What it did though is it finished off a little cup here, it looks like. But the longer standing one, we should come back up to at least up to this area that we were targeting. Now, if it breaks out of here, it's going to be substantial. It's just, I don't know if this is on a bearish pennant or not. I love VELO. I own VELO. I have just over 100,000 tokens of VELO. It's the only, it's one of the only reasons why I use HOTCOIN is so I can own VELO, if I'm being honest. I love VELO. I think it's very undervalued. VELO's been at like, what was it, $6 in the past? I think it was 6 or 4. I can't remember. Because sometimes I confuse IOTA's top price with VELO. But yeah, I would say a good consolidation. Yeah, let me get this out of the way. Since it actually followed that almost perfectly. And this almost came up all the way too, which is crazy how quick it did. Are you asking me to do TA on Bitcoin or what I think about Bitcoin? Because I'll do TA on Bitcoin. I always do during the live. So a good consolidation point here, because you want to back test these little minute pushes. So I would say if you're looking for oh, that's a beautiful consolidation candle to go down farther, by the way. That looks like a bearish doji. Yeah, because it needs to come down farther and then pull back up to be a technical reversal. This kind of looks weak. Let me put this price label. No, I don't want to use the price range. I just want to do a label. So that's, I would say about 001 would be an area of consolidation you would look at for re-entry if you're not in. Assuming it holds, that would be the back test. It could fall back in, but that would be the area you'd be looking for. Now, if it's only back testing these wicks, it might hold the 20-day, but typically, as you guys know, I'm a firm believer that we like to back test breakouts to give us even more strength. So I would say around the 001. And even if you bought it here, that's still a little bit of a drop. So like I would, honestly, Shane, I wouldn't mess with it right here because that's still another 8%, 8.5%. And I'd hate for you to buy it just for it to come back down to the support structure or 9% below if you catch my drift. So I would probably wait for that because the market's going to get, honestly, like I'm looking even at AMP because it's down like, what, 2%. I'm looking at the fact that, hey, the uptrend, I'm trying to figure out where we could get if I were to let it go, even though I don't really want to, but it is my swing trading token. So I don't like to hold it if I think there's downside. I gave it a shot yesterday, but I'm not looking to go crazy if it's not ready. So maybe it'll come back down and retest that 560, but more than likely, if this doesn't hold because of the way it's forming, I could see it retesting down. Like, this is tricky now on Saturday. It's very tricky on Saturday. VELO up 3%. It kind of looks like it's defying the odds a little bit here. Already came down. See, this looks like it's got a nice inversion here. Already came down to the bottom of the broadening wedge. See, I believe a lot of these patterns are on broadening wedges, and I think they're bullish the way that they came down. Or, I mean, the way they came into the broadening wedges, so they're not bearish. But we'll see. The only two coins you recently entered was VELO and SHX, both brilliant tokens. If SHX was on any exchange I use, I would use it. I would buy it, Stronghold. I'm a huge fan of Stronghold. Somebody said H-Barn, if you guys like my work, make sure to hit that like button. And I would really appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel. We're just about 31,200 subscribers. And if you really appreciate my work, I would love to see more members of Tom's Army, as we don't have as many as we used to, but we still have a fair amount. I just see a lot of people in here that are not part of Tom's Army. You know, just consider Tom's Army, or at least just make sure to hit the like button and share it so we can grow a bigger audience and reach more people. But yeah, that's basically how I make it on YouTube. I don't charge for anything, but the ones in Tom's Army help pay it forward, and the super chats and things like that. So I don't have sponsorships if you're new. I started here in March of 2028, or March of 2021, and we have not missed a day. March 28th of 2021, and I have not missed a single day of the show. And I think that's kind of cool. The longer a streak goes, the more important it becomes. That downtrending resistance, again, with H-bar, it's just like with most, we've got to get above it. Otherwise, if we get squeezed here on the weekend, technically the downside is 16 cents. It's technically, and it's not horrible, but I mean, could you imagine a 30% drop if you're just entering? So it's either you want to buy it when it breaks out and back test, or you want to buy it on the support structure. Right now, to buy it here and see a rejection would be brutal. It just would. Rippers, thank you for continuing in Tom's Army for 21 months now. Excellent. With the I told you so badge, I love it. I love it. So now would be a good time to shill off some for some CBCN and buyback. Maybe 0.001. I mean, I guess that's fair. You got to do it the way you want to do it. I don't want to influence what you're going to do because I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just trying to show the charts, but we're being squeezed in an area, and on a thinly traded weekend, I almost say we're looking at a dump here. So just for transparency, I did get rid of my AMP at the start of this when I was looking at the transgression here, just so that I wouldn't have to consider buying or selling it. So I'm going to pick it back up, but I want to see if it comes down to the support structure or not. Like, AMP's not my bag that I hold unless it looks like it's going to break out. So I was wrong yesterday when it had the potential, and it cost me about $65. Nothing major, but hey, money's money. And you don't want to keep doing that. You know, you don't want to keep losing 60, 70, 100, 200 and just buy to sell. But because it's on BITUNIX, I'm able to do it for like $1 or $2 in and out. So I'm not too worried about it. But that could backfire because now the market could flip. It's just, I don't want to be tied to that this week. And I want to see if this is going to come down. And if we're going to support, like if Bitcoin comes down to the 20-day here in these smaller time frames. Because it just, to me, feels like, again, it feels like a Saturday. It feels like they're going to drop the market again, these sons of bitches. 4-hour reversal candle on Bitcoin right now. No. I don't, listen, guys. That $9.99 donation, that is not for Discord. If you join Tom's Army, that's just to support the channel. I had a Discord for free that some took advantage of a couple years ago, and it got destroyed, and I had several hundred people in there. And it was a fine oiled machine. I didn't even, you know, the way it was running, but people are people. Humanity is not what it used to be. And then I tried a Telegram, which is still going on, but that got so overrun that I've been slowly implementing myself back into it as I see more favorable people in there. So yeah, that is tax free. I don't ever talk about that part of it, but if you send a super chat, it doesn't get taxed the same as if, I'm getting like advertising money from YouTube. So it definitely does help. It definitely does help. Cannabis Podcast, thank you for that info. I appreciate that. Right, but you can set it to where you can only join. That's true. That's true. I could do that. I could do that. Just takes a lot of mental power. Let's see. I like when it creates buying opportunities. I like when the market opens up. But I do see a lot across the market that suggests like consolidation is coming across the market. Unfortunately, that's what we were saying last night, is if they decide to do the same thing. I don't know if they're going to. But at some point, we're going to have these reversals happening. Like now look at ZBCN, it's kind of front running right now. But we know it's up 68% in a couple days. So this would be the drop back. It started at 0076 area. Or 00076, and now it's at 001. So we flipped the 0. So it might just be back testing. But I'm trying to get a good understanding of the market this morning. I still want to read, because it's already been 31 minutes, but we have to read what happened with the acknowledgement from the SEC with XRP, with the ETF, which is something. It's something. Let's see. Ripple printer hardly mints RLUSD this week while trading volume up 35.66%. Interesting. I want to just look at the XRP ETF real quick, because there's a lot of stories about it. So SEC acknowledges 21 shares. XRP. Oh, I was thinking Grayscale too, but I forgot about 21 shares. Acknowledges 21 shares XRP ETF filing. XRP price jumps 17% as approval window opens. I think you could do a TA on VELO. Doesn't have to. Absolutely, I can. Trigger warning. I certainly can. Thank you for the $4.99 donation. I think that's the first donation of the day. I love it. Thank you so much for that. Here, before I read that, I'll absolutely do VELO in case you have to go somewhere. VELO's up 2.3% on the day, just about 2 cents. We're in this broadening wedge and this little bit of a channel I don't know if it's an up channel or a rising channel, but it's been stuck within it for a little while. We haven't been able to get outside of it. It's not a direct one because it starts right here on the support. But you definitely have a resistance. And we have higher highs and higher lows, which is interesting. But we do have this death cross that could happen in the daily. So if this is a rejection point, I would absolutely expect it to come back to the broadening wedge. See, yeah, that's the problem with this market right now. It's showing me two different things. Like if this inverse head and shoulders plays out, that it's set up off the wedge, the broadening wedge, now we could start to reverse, but we got to get over this 20-day and hold the 200, and we're being squeezed. These thinly traded weekends are a pain in the ass. The last 8 weekends, we've gone down in price. This would be 9 weekends in a row that we've actually lost market value into Saturday and Sunday. So, and we've created a nice definitive structure here that we broke past this resistance. So I like that. Even if you did that, but if you do it realistically, we did break out of this downward consolidation. So, I mean, you were something like this, and now we have this short-term consolidation, which I don't necessarily hate. I don't hate it, because this could very well be a bullish consolidation, and because it feels like VELO's turning around now in a good way. And hopefully the floor now, if it did come down, would be at that 199 or 193. But I'm not going nowhere with VELO. I bought it at 009. I'm going to hold it as long as I have to. And that's just the bottom line. But it feels like it is dangerously close to a pretty big breakout here. It really does. And the fact it came down and confirmed this broadening wedge is a big thing. It's a big thing. Because we weren't sure what was going on in the patterns across the board. And then they started showing these broadening wedges, which is fascinating. So we got some big potential here. Big potential. DGB is at 0.08 or 0085, down 2.17%. And DGB reminds me of XRP before it had its big breakout. Like, we've been at this level for so long, and it can only stay here for so long. We're working on a massive handle here in the short term, but we still haven't finished the longer term cup. This is a short term, in my opinion, cup and handle, though. At least from the onset of this, or at least the optics of it. Because DGB's like this, and now it came into a handle. And once it breaks out, it reminds me of XRP a lot before it had its breakout. And then it'll go level by level. But I think in time, DGB is one of them that's working on this massive W reversal. It does it every single time. It comes up, hooks around, comes back down to the cycle consolidation, hooks up to a higher high, comes back down and cycle. Then now it should come up to another higher high. Like, it seems like this is getting ready for an expansion. Eventually, it's going to have an expansion without the contraction. And we very well might be seeing that with XRP right now, if you're wondering what I'm talking about. So the expansion would be how XRP keeps coming outside of like 10, 20, 30 cents. Then it'd get up to $1, $2, come back down. Sometimes almost to $4, came back down to that 10, 20, 30 cent area consistently. Although this time we noted it went up to $3.40, but now it has not come back down to those lower levels. So it could have had an expansion, and now the contraction for XRP is around $1.70 instead of it being back down to its comfort zone in the 20-something cent range or teens. You know, we've seen it every single cycle. So this could be finally expansion and utility without the all-on contraction. And that's what we're trying to look for. Now, remember, we're not waiting until the 31st this month to have the 1 billion release from escrow. February is the shortest month of the year, and there's only 28 days. So that means we're only about 13 days and counting away from that next escrow dump, which means I would expect some fireworks to the upside before that happens, you know, and get this consolidation and such. So at some point, it's going to happen for DGB as well. It's very much an IoT token. It's very much a big player in that side of town. And it's a non-profit token as well, which means, like, it's, for the most part, I mean, if you understand what I'm talking about, does anybody understand the word tax exempt? Like, if you're, it's basically supporting a it's different than a lot of the ecosystems in crypto. That's why I got drawn to it. They're basically the humanitarian token. I don't know how to describe it if you don't understand, but you got to do a little bit of research and you'll definitely see what I'm talking about. And the fact we have 222 people watching as I'm saying that about DGB is brilliant, because that's the sign of the angels, and that just means I'm telling the truth. Just means I'm telling the truth. 222 is keeps me in the right path, and it lets me know that I'm saying the right things and I'm doing the right things. So I think we're so far ahead of DGB, because I had DGB in 21. I bought it at 5 cents, sold it at just over 15, almost 16, and I said I wasn't gonna buy it again until it was under a penny, and I got laughed at. And I only say that because it's my baby. And if I was willing to do that and I understood the significance then, and I'm trying to explain the significance of the pattern now, it's just like with XRP. It was down at 40 cents until it wasn't. We only had that opportunity until we didn't. And now it's like there's no opportunity there. It's at $2.60 something cents. It's not at 50 cents, 40 cents. Yeah, DGB is. Digibyte's basically a humanitarian token. It's a non-profit. If you look it up, it's non-profit. They do it. They're doing it for supposedly for the good of the world, but we'll see. I always forget to talk about it. Somebody actually brought it up yesterday and put me on the spot, not in a bad way, but I was able to divulge into it a little bit more. But I also said you need to understand like your tax stuff and everything to understand all of it. You guys can look deeper. It's it's 50. What is it? Fuck, I can't remember now. My mind's drawing a blank, but it's like a 501c, I think. Somebody knows. Somebody knows in here what I'm talking about, and they can give me the proper code. Tom, so glad to hear your boy is doing good. God bless you and your family. He is. Ever since ever since the scary moment on Thursday. But everything is good. You know, it all checked out. It was just he was choking on his vomit and stuff, and until we clear the airwave, it was a scary moment, but you know, he checked out, and now he did great yesterday. Ate a lot by mouth, 503, yes, thank you. I don't know what I said. 501. 503. 501c3. Okay, that's it. 501c3. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's why it was confusing me. I'm not 100% sure about algo. Some of them are, though. Some of them are. I don't know about algo. If somebody could look that up, I'd appreciate it. Oh, you're good, Devin. No, you were fine. Only have 10,000 DGB now. Hey, 10,000 DGB is 10,000 DGB. That's about 800 and... what is DGB at right now? That's about $857 worth. If it goes up and reaches our potential, that 800 and something dollars worth, you know, that's not 800 and something dollars worth when it gets up to 7. But if it gets up to the total potential, you're talking about $30,000 on 800 bucks right now. That's a big fucking move. But I said, if I've often said, I think DGB is going to make me my most amount of money because I have the most amount. It's not that I don't have as much faith in XRP, but it's where it's at in its chart. You got to understand where things are at their chart. I was all over XRP when it was in this part of its formation, but I found some that are unbelievable. Oh yeah, VeChain too. That's why I have over 100,000 VeChain. I don't even know how many VeChain I have. I think it's over 100. But I am it might be way over. I don't know. I'm a very big believer in VeChain and ZIL. But I also didn't go overly extravagant on VeChain. I mean, 100,000 is still 100,000 tokens. Don't get me wrong. But I also have VeThor, so it's kind of a dual-edged thing for me. So with VeThor, I have 600,000 tokens. And let's see. What is the total amount of tokens I hold for VeChain? So I have 31,000 plus... What is this? So I have 136,000 VeChain. So I definitely collected up on the VeChain. Yeah, I've definitely done my due diligence on the ones I wanted. That's for sure. ZIL, I have 300,000. IOTX, 200,000. VeThor, 600,000. Cantor, I'm up to 100,000. Yeah, I'm just pushing up. Every time I see an opportunity, I'm trying to take advantage of it. So, but I still believe we're not finished with the fifth. I still believe we're, every time the last time VeThor had a big run, I did sell off some and put it into VeChain because it hadn't moved. So I'm under the same philosophy, but I would still like to keep about 600,000 VeThor on its own. You know, anything that I buy over that I can buy and sell, but I would like to keep about 600,000 of VeThor because I believe it has big potential. Oh, I need to read this because I went off into that tangent. Tom, what is your son's condition that requires a G-tube soak landing thing? Okay, so he's got a aversion to certain kind of foods, but it's we're not exactly sure when it started, but when he was 6 months old, he got into a very bad car accident with Julie. Julie's had like 6 surgeries on her foot as they had to completely take out like her talus bone and rework her foot. It's all fucked. But Tommy broke his femur, and when that happened, we suspected like head trauma, and they didn't really do justice in that regard. But after the accident, he was very stressed out. He wouldn't really leave. He was only 6 months old, so he didn't want to get in the car. He wasn't really wanting to leave the house for a couple years. It got really bad. But before the accident, he was eating like stuff by mouth, normal. He was ahead of his growing. And after, he just started creating an aversion to food, and we're not exactly sure what started it. The trauma is probably a good bet. But he's also developmentally delayed, and he's special needs, and he's on the autism spectrum, however you want to call it. But he created an aversion, and it's something to do with just how his brain is wired now. But he still eats by mouth. That's the thing. Like, he eats by mouth. Like, he'll eat crunchy, some soft, like cracker style stuff, like he'll eat crunchy stuff, but he has a very bad aversion to like certain textures. So to get him the proper nutrients and stuff, we had to do a G tube because he was, it's not good when you're not getting proper nutrition. So we took it upon ourselves last year after we got a misdiagnosis at Royal Oak Beaumont, and they sent him home, and it ultimately almost killed him. We took him up about 4 hours away to Grand Rapids, and it's the #1 children's hospital basically in the USA. I think it's top 3 in the whole country. And it just happens to be 3.5, 4 hours from my house. So we drove up there, got a proper diagnosis. It caused a whole bunch of problems because he had an undiagnosed influenza. So they didn't even test him when we were at Royal Oak, the Beaumont down here. And when we went up there, they tested it last year. We were there for like a couple weeks. It took a couple weeks. This whole thing happened. And once he got the G tube, a lot of things changed. His health got better. He gained a lot of weight. He got back into the right zones. He looks better. He mentally is functioning a lot better as far as, he's through his therapies and stuff now because he's got occupational, he's got speech and food therapy. And he's in a special needs, it's like a kindergarten, pre-kindergarten or pre-K, but he goes into a regular class next year. So it's been an interesting thing. But as far as in a special needs program, he's the farthest ahead in there. It's such a clear differential between him and the other kids. It's kind of strange. Like, he's nonverbal, but what he does so much more than the other kids that they put him in inclusion classes now so that he's in the regular classes, and they think he's going to be fine in the regular class. He's just nonverbal, so he's picked up a lot. He's actually really smart. He knows how to do a lot of things. He basically can raise himself. It's really weird. He's been like that for years. Like, he knows what he needs, when he needs it, how he needs it, and what he needs. But yeah, it's been great. It's been a lot better with the G-tube. Yeah, there's scary moments, and we're not exactly sure, why it got lodged, but sometimes things happen, and it could just the way he was sitting, but at least, we responded properly. We removed the clog in his throat. It was scary, no doubt about that. Seeing your kid blue and limp, and yeah. But, by the time we got in the EMS on Thursday, his vitals were back. His body was regaining its, oxygen and everything. So they didn't have to do anything. They just made sure that we put in the G-tube, the replacement on the button, right, which we did, and all this other good stuff. But I had training years ago. I used to be a personal trainer and a nutritionist. And but I broke my back, so I couldn't do it for long. But I used to get certified every single year and relearn the tools and the trade, and so everything happens for a reason. I may not have been able to be a trainer like I wanted for the length I wanted, but it taught me how to save my mom years ago, and now my son a couple days ago. So it's things like that makes you understand why you need to learn so many things. But yeah, it's been an interesting road with my son, but I wouldn't trade the way he is for anything. I actually like his personality and the way he is. So I can't imagine him another way. So I'm just grateful for how he is. I don't know how else to put it. So, and I love seeing people saying amen and stuff, because when you speak the Lord's name, and there's more than one person speaking our Lord's name, God becomes present. I truly believe it. I truly believe that. There's been too many things that should have taken me or my son or Julie away from this world. But faith and understanding is, I think you guys get it. No problem, Frankie. I like to be open. So let's read through this. So the Securities and Exchange Commission acknowledges. Oh, Tanya, welcome in. Thank you so much, love. Also in Tom's Army for several years as well with the XRP 589 move ads. I can't even say what month you guys are in because it hasn't updated for a while. It's so weird. I appreciate it. They said, me and Julie are amazing parents. Yeah, I think T definitely benefits from our parenting style and the way we are as people. I don't think he could deal with a lot of other. I don't know. He needs the caring and gentle nature. He doesn't like yelling. He doesn't like overly stressful situations. Yeah, so he's taught me a lot. But the SEC acknowledges 21 shares XRP ETF filing. XRP price jumps 17% as approval window opens. So the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission has recognized another XRP ETF filing, bringing the product one step closer to approval. On Friday, the regulatory agency acknowledged the XRP ETF application from asset manager 21 shares. This comes just a day after it recognized Grayscale's ETF application. This development has sparked significant excitement within the XRP community, as many see it as a sign that approval is imminent. With the latest acknowledgement, the SEC still has 3 other Form 19B-4 XRP ETF applications to consider. Notably, CBOE, BZX Exchange filed 19B-4 forms for the XRP ETFs of Bitwise, Canary 21 shares, and Wisdom Tree 7 days ago. Since the SEC has now acknowledged one of these filings, the crypto community may see similar recognition for the other 3 next week. And the cool thing about this is we're talking about how there's some kind of catalyst here because the market suggested in the charts. Like, yeah, you might get a violent spike down of a 5 or 10% all of a sudden, but it seems like it's just going to be another one of those V-shaped recoveries. And we're waiting for some kind of announcement. I really feels like that in the charts. Like we're just waiting for the pushover. Now, one thing that is going to hamper a certain segment, just get ready for this in April. Trump said he's going to put tariffs on auto. So if you're invested in like electric like EV or the automotive field, come April, you might want to take a step back from those holdings and just let it consolidate when he announces those tariffs. We're going to get about a 15 to 25% drop across the auto stocks, I would imagine. I'm not saying this to scare people. I'm saying this to give you foresight. No matter what industry he puts tariffs on, you're going to get a big drop. If he says 20%, you're probably going to get a 20% drop because we have to pay those tariffs as a citizen. And the only reason I don't like the tariffs is because they haven't taken away the taxes. The whole point of having tariffs is so that you don't have to tax the individual citizen, a sales tax and other things, because we're paying 20% more when the goods get exported to us. So, it's kind of they're stealing from us in 2 ways from, it's kind of like hell right now. Not only are they going to take by tariff, but they're also going to take by taxes. It's supposed to be one or the other, if not zero. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, he's talking about the auto and he's putting tariff on auto. So we'll see what happens. So I would just pay attention. We'll see what countries he decides to do it. And then we'll have to go accordingly if you guys are in the auto. But I'll try to stay ahead of that. I'm just trying to remember things that are notable here. So anyhow, so notably the SEC's acknowledgement of the XRP ETFs from Grayscale and at 21 shares does not equate to automatic approval, nor does it guarantee that the SEC will approve them in the future. Nevertheless, this development is, Malaysia anti-communist. That is true. I didn't even think about that part. I did not even think about Malaysia. That is pretty interesting. That's actually spot on. It's significant because it signals the SEC's willingness to consider these products rather than outright reject them. Recall that in December, exchanges withdrew their Solana 19B-4 applications after the Gary Gensler-led SEC indicated it would not engage with them. Under the Mark Ueda led SEC, this new acknowledgement essentially gives the XRP ETFs a shot at approval. This opens the path for them to compete with Bitcoin and Ethereum products. Following the SEC's acknowledgement, a 240-day window, roughly 8 months now begins. Specifically, the 240-day timeline for a decision on the Grayscale and 21 shares ETF, XRP ETFs, will start once the filings are posted to the Federal Register, which is expected to happen in the next few days. So this is going to happen this year. And they have 240 days, according to Fox Business correspondent Eleanor Tourette. Again, she's not usually right about things, but we'll give her the benefit of the doubt. Essentially, the XRP community could be looking out for a decision on XRP ETFs in the last quarter of the year. The market price of XRP has reflected the community. The community's optimism surrounding the SEC's back-to-back recognition of XRP ETFs. Specifically, XRP is trading at, is it $2.76? I know it's down a little bit. $2.74. What does this mean for the rest? Okay, hanging on a little bit. Ugh. Okay, so we're still kind of blue. Specifically, XRP is trading at $2.74 today, reflecting an 8% gain in the last 24 hours. Make that about 6. This intraday gain has boosted XRP's weekly performance, showing a massive about 14% increase. So I just wanted to read that so we could get the information of that. Real quickly, though, because I'm running out of time. I'm already 54 minutes in. And most of you are some of you are tuning out because I don't understand why you wouldn't, because at a certain point, we're just kind of going over the same thing. But I want to make sure we look at this real quick. The XRP liquidations are massive. And when I was at $2.20, $2, we talked about the same level. It hasn't changed. I don't see them missing out on all this liquidity starting at $3.20. What is it? $3.23. It starts at 544 billion with a B of short liquidations. It's impossible not to come take that. They're not going to let the shorts escape with that. It's never happened before, and it'll never happen now. And then you start coming up here, and you've got $3.41, 553, 504. But in between, you got between 3 and 500 million all the way up. Then you even come up here, you got, look at this. It's unfucking believable. Oh, and speaking of family health issues, my grandpa yesterday, all of a sudden, I forgot about this, to mention this. He got rushed to the hospital. He's 91 years old. So, you know, he's had a nice, healthy life. But he's my last grandparent remaining, but he got rushed to the hospital, and he has, like, pneumonia. He has sepsis. He had a urinary tract infection, and they said he has COVID. So I'm not sure how all that happened, but, you know, he's been pushed by some other members of my family to be like fully jabba the jabs. And ever since, you know, things have happened the last few years since the old blah, blah, blah came out. And, yeah. Thank you for the $10 donation, my friend Joseph. Holy smokes. Really? Thank you so much for that. It's incredibly generous. But real quick, has anybody ever seen liquidation pile up like this? I've never seen this. I have never seen this with XRP. I have never seen this kind of liquidation piled up. And we said, oh shit, when we had to come down here. Because remember, we seen a pile up of 3, 4, 500 million down here. It wasn't as wide of a range. But we definitely seen it down to that $1.78 area. And we're like, oh man, this sucks. We took out all that liquidation. You think we're going to pay you $500,000 per person? I think you don't understand how this whole thing works, my friend. You're not going to get a dime if America buys. You won't get nothing. That's going to go all to the Trudeau and his good patsies. We've got more than 3 trillion. We've got, because even if you look on the way up, look, you got 100 to 200 billion all the way up. That's the crazy part. Look, all the way up. Say there's a billion or a trillion, probably about 2 trillion by the time it even gets to here. Then from $3.23 to $3.25, there's already another. I mean, you're talking probably over $10 trillion of short liquidations, assuming we come all the way up to $3. I mean, that's the thing. You don't even need to come up that high, and you'd get 10 trillion in liquidations. This is crazy. Even if that's crazy, how much liquidation there is. Oh, absolutely. We talked about that closed door meeting that wasn't really highly publicized on the 13th. Although that doesn't directly lead to a settlement at times of discussion, it definitely plays into the possibility because of the new evidence or new steps that are being taken. But that's an incredible amount of liquidity. That doesn't mean we can't go to DGB, folks, and look at the liquidity. DGB is just kind of tricky because it's got it below and above. We've created an interesting dynamic with DGB. Because it is suggesting that we could possibly come down to that 008 again. But we know that on our uptrend. Remember we said if we didn't break out of the support. But it's not the amount of volume that's in XRP. But look how much we've got up here. These are the sweet spots. I really believe we're going to come up here. But my son wants me to go, guys. Thank you for the $5 donation, Joseph. Market manipulation is the reason for all these shorts. I agree. And thank you for joining Tom's Army, Frankie. But my son's out here. I'm going to go. Tommy, I'm going to end this. Have a blessed day, everybody. I appreciate all.